The gym reeked of rubber mats, sweat, and competition. Late afternoon sunlight filtered through the high windows, cutting dusty beams across the floor where recruits grappled under the watch of instructors. Grunts, slams, the rhythm of training, and then silence as Lieutenant Commander Tara Reeves stepped through the door. She wasn't large, wasn't loud, and didn't need to be. Every movement carried the quiet efficiency of a SEAL who'd done this 100 times before. Her left knee moved slower than the right, rebuilt after surgery, but her presence commanded attention even before she spoke. Across the mats, Chief Petty Officer Dolan saw her and smirked. Big voice, broad chest, the kind of instructor who believed authority came from volume. "Didn't think you'd be back on deck so soon," he called out, voice echoing off the cinderblock walls. "Rehab clears faster than gossip," Tara replied evenly. A few recruits chuckled. Dolan didn't. He nodded toward a struggling trainee, Private Chun, half his opponent's size, being overpowered for the third time. "Maybe you should show him how it's done." Textbook versus reality. Tara didn't rise to it. She walked to the mat, knelt beside Chun, and adjusted her grip. Calm. Clinical. No theater. Redirect. Don't overpower, she instructed. The recruits listened. The energy shifted, not respect yet, but awareness. Dolan, sensing eyes drifting from him to her, pushed further. "Let's see that in action, Commander. You and me, little demonstration." She met his stare, unflinching. "This isn't necessary. Afraid I'll mess up that knee again?" A few quiet laughs from the back. She exhaled once. "I'm worried you'll teach them something they shouldn't repeat." The mat cleared. Recruits circled in close. Tara removed her cap, clipped it to her belt, stepped barefoot into the space. Dolan rolled his shoulders, grinning. "Timer ready?" The whistle blew. Dolan lunged. Heavy, predictable. She sidestepped, redirected, dropped him cleanly. A perfect throw. Controlled, professional. The room murmured. Dolan got up, jaw tight. Round 2 came harder. He twisted her wrist, fast and deliberate. She countered, pivoted out, released. His face flushed. Pride cracking. He charged again. Fake grapple, low sweep. And this time, she went down hard, the mat thudding beneath her. "Enough," she said, voice calm but final. He ignored it, grabbed her shoulder, forced another motion. She parried. His elbow came up, sharp, brutal, connected square across her face. The sound was small. Final. Every noise in the gym vanished. Recruits froze. Dolan's breath caught in his chest, as if realizing too late what he'd done. Tara staggered, one hand to her cheek. Blood streaked her lip. The room didn't move. She straightened slowly, wiped the blood with her thumb, looked him dead in the eye. "Demo's over." No yelling. No scene. Just those 2 words. She walked off the mat as silence filled the gym, not the kind born of fear, but of shame. Every recruit, every instructor, stood still, realizing they hadn't just witnessed a mistake. They'd witnessed a line being crossed. The mirror in the locker room flickered with the hum of fluorescent lights. Tara Reeves stood still, cold water dripping from her face into the sink. The bruise across her jaw had begun to bloom, dark, uneven, ugly. A souvenir of someone else's ego. Her reflection looked back, composed yet trembling beneath the surface. The kind of tremor that came not from pain, but restraint. Outside, the sound of recruits cleaning the mats echoed faintly, rubber squeaks, hushed whispers. She knew what they were saying. They'd seen a leader assaulted in front of them, and the leader had done nothing. No retaliation, no outrage, just silence. She pressed a towel against her face and whispered to herself, almost inaudible. Control is the weapon. That was the first lesson her father, a Marine drill instructor, had taught her. He used to say, "Anybody can hit back. Not everybody can wait." She sat on the bench, unwrapped the tape from her wrists, and placed it neatly beside her. Every movement deliberate, rehearsed, methodical. It was the same ritual she used before missions, a way to quiet the noise in her head before the real work began. From the hallway, a voice called softly, "Ma'am." It was Private Chun, the same trainee she'd been coaching earlier. I just wanted to say, what he did, it wasn't right." Tara didn't turn. "Neither is losing control," she replied. He hesitated. "But you didn't." "I did exactly what I was supposed to." When he left, she finally stood, walked to the window overlooking the darkening base. The sky above Camp Pendleton was painted orange and violet, and the wind carried the faint clang of metal doors closing for the night. It reminded her of deployments long past, the moments between battles, when the world felt too quiet to trust. Her hand went to the bruise again. The anger was still there, not toward Dolan, but toward what he represented. The unchecked culture that had let him believe that intimidation equaled leadership. That loudness meant respect. That silence meant weakness. She opened her locker and pulled out a weathered binder. Training Regulations 6B. Instructor Conduct and Tactical Discipline. She'd written parts of it years ago. Paragraphs underlined in red ink jumped out at her. Demonstrations are to serve education, not ego. Any abuse of authority during instruction nullifies chain of command protection. Her plan began to form. Not vengeance, not exposure, but something far sharper, clarity. She would turn the system on itself. Make the next lesson a mirror. Tomorrow's session, she decided, wouldn't be about strength or dominance. It would be about reaction control under stress, blindfolded response testing. By the book. Every rule followed. Every step recorded. And when Dolan stepped onto that mat again, surrounded by his peers, he'd realize, too late, that discipline wasn't silence. It was precision. She closed the binder. The hum of the locker room light faded behind her as she walked out into the night, calm as the eye of a storm that hadn't yet begun. Morning arrives with a clinical clarity. Lights buzz on in sequence, fluorescent strips carving the mats into pale lanes. Tara steps into the gym before the others, binder tucked under her arm like a Bible. Each footfall sounds measured against the concrete, deliberate, a metronome of intent. She pins the schedule to the whiteboard. Phase 4, Reaction Control Evaluation. Underneath, in block letters, the protocol references, Section 7, Subsection C, Blindfolded Contact Reflexes. Her handwriting is neat, almost surgical. Every recruit and instructor will run the exact sequence the manual demands. Minimal force, no preemption, documented timing, documented responses. No improvisation. Dolan arrives with his swagger intact, but there's an edge she can see now, a man unsettled when the room stops revolving around him. He glances at the board, smirks. This is just an eval, right? Warm-ups. We'll walk through it. His tone is casual, the grin is a blade. Marson and a few others chatter behind him, confident in a system that's always let them talk louder than they train. Tara doesn't speak to him. She moves through the room, handing blindfolds to the recruits in the front row, explaining the rules loud enough so everyone hears. Hands at your sides. No anticipatory movement. React only to contact. Instructors will be evaluated first. Her voice cuts through the hum, flat and exact. The recruits nod, some with bright curiosity, some with the blank exhale of routine. Phelps peers in from the observation gallery, eyebrows raised. Tara catches his eye and lifts her chin. All paperwork signed, authorization stamped. He murmurs something about oversight, and she nods. Every T crossed, every signature accounted for. Protocol, she knows, is a lever. Pull it correctly, and the whole machine must respond. First pair. Tara instructs 2 instructors to test baseline procedures. She times the touches, records responses on the clipboard. Precision is contagious. The room quiets along with her scratching pen. Then she calls for the instructors. Dolan, Markson, step forward. Blindfolds on. Skin against cotton. The transformation is immediate, without eyes, egos thin. Tara stands between them, hand on the shoulder of each man before the drill starts. A small, human calibration. Remember, no escalation. This is a reflex assessment. She hears Dolan's breath hitch. He's already calculating advantage by feel. She initiates the drill. A light touch to the arm, a test of micro-reflexes. Parry, redirect, control. Tara's eyes flick between stopwatch and pen, logging milliseconds, marking posture. Dolan reacts as he always does. Forceful, preemptive, trying to seize control. Each wrong move is precisely cataloged. Each overreach noted. As rounds progress, the pattern becomes undeniable. Dolan's instincts betray him. He anticipates, he overcommits, he escalates. Markson fumbles. His balance betrays a reliance on theatrics rather than technique. Tara's notes grow longer. The recruits watch, learning an unspoken syllabus. Restraint beats swagger. By the 5th round, the air has changed. Dolan is breathing harder, red creeping across his neck. He's been unmasked not by accusation, but by the cold arithmetic of the drill. Reaction times, control percentages, documented deviations from protocol. There is no spectacle here, only evidence. When she removes the blindfolds, the room is hushed. Tara meets Dolan's eyes one last time, not with triumph, but with the steadiness of procedure fulfilled. That concludes instructor evaluations, she says. Report to oversight for debrief. Her voice is slow. The binder close in her hand is heavier than before, not with paper, but with consequence. Protocol, wielded right, has become the cleanest weapon of all. The next morning, the gym felt different, quieter, sharper. The recruits filed in without chatter, sensing something was about to unfold. The mats had been cleaned, the blinds half drawn. Dust motes floated like slow sparks in the shafts of early sunlight. The room smelled faintly of chalk and anticipation. Tara Reeves stood in the center, clipboard in hand, boots squared. There was no announcement, no speech, just order. Today's final sequence, she said evenly, is a live demonstration of controlled engagement under restricted vision. Her eyes met the recruits, then the instructors. Every motion must comply with Section 7 protocol. Dolan and Markson exchanged glances, wary, proud, still trying to believe this was routine. But the tension in the recruit's posture told another story. Everyone knew what this really was. Not revenge, not spectacle, but an unspoken trial. Tara gestured to the center of the mat. Chief Dolan, Petty Officer Markson, blindfolds on. You'll engage as partners under instruction. They hesitated. Dolan forced a grin, the same swagger masking discomfort. You running the drill again, Commander? I am, she said, slipping off her boots. But this time, I'll take the counter roll. Hands only. No strikes, no takedowns beyond training threshold. Clear. He nodded, still smiling, but the recruits noticed the tightness in his jaw. The whistle blew. Dolan lunged first. Muscle memory, arrogance, and frustration rolled into one movement. But Tara was already gone, shifting weight like water. She redirected the attack with the softest parry, twisted, and let his force carry him past her. The mat thudded beneath him. Silence followed. Markson stepped in immediately, a feint, then a reach for her arm. Tara pivoted, redirected his elbow, and brought him to one knee without aggression. Control, she said quietly, isn't about dominance. It's about discipline. Her voice didn't rise, it didn't need to. The recruits leaned forward unconsciously, watching her every motion. The rhythm of the match became a language, precision answering chaos, breath answering force. Dolan came again, blindfold slipping slightly as he tried to regain ground. He grabbed for her shoulder. Too high, too wild. Tara shifted, hooked his wrist, and guided him down again, this time holding him still with nothing but leverage. Protocol 6B, she murmured for the room to hear. Contact neutralization without injury. She released him and stepped back, letting him rise on his own. The mat beneath them remembered every fall, every echo of misplaced strength. Dolan's breathing was ragged now, his composure cracked. At the edge of the room, the base commander had entered silently, hands behind his back. His expression unreadable. He watched as Tara completed the sequence, guiding, instructing, never striking, never gloating. Every correction she made was calm, technical, unflinching. When it ended, she stood over the two instructors, neither humiliated nor triumphant, simply resolute. Lesson complete, she said. Control demonstrated. Protocol upheld. The recruits broke into subdued applause, not because they'd been told to, but because they understood. The commander stepped forward, voice even but carrying. Lieutenant Commander Reeves, he said. That was instructive. His gaze shifted to Dolan. And recorded. Dolan's shoulders dropped. The realization came like gravity. This wasn't just training. It was evidence. As Tara left the mat, the recruits parted instinctively. Respect, real and earned, filled the air where arrogance had stood yesterday. The mat remembered the weight of both men, one who fought for noise, and one who proved that silence, when disciplined, can roar louder than anything else. The report hit the commander's desk before sunrise. Neatly typed, time-stamped, signed by every observing officer. Attached was the training log, reaction metrics, and the footage from the base cameras. Every second of Dolan's overreach and Tara's precision preserved in cold, unflinching detail. By mid-morning, the base was whispering. Not in gossip this time, in reckoning. The kind that ripples through halls when the untouchable finally faces consequence. Chief Petty Officer Dolan was suspended pending investigation. His locker was cleared quietly, his nameplate removed by noon. Markson avoided eye contact in the cafeteria, his once loud laughter replaced by silence. Nobody said Tara's name out loud, but everyone knew. They called her the Quiet Storm, the instructor who didn't need to shout to be heard. Tara herself didn't celebrate. She sat in her small office overlooking the training yard, hands folded, gaze fixed on the recruits running drills below. The bruise on her jaw had faded to a pale shadow, but it wasn't gone, and neither was the memory. A knock at the door. The base commander stepped in, cap tucked under his arm. "Lieutenant Commander Reeves," he said. "You've made quite the impression." She rose, formal. "Sir, I followed protocol." He smiled faintly. "You did more than that. You reminded this place what protocol was for." He paused, glancing at the commendation paper in his hand. "I'm recommending you for advanced oversight training and a policy review board seat. It's about time someone rewrote some of these manuals." For the first time in weeks, Tara allowed herself a small breath that almost became a laugh. "Copy that, sir." When he left, she turned back to the window. Chen was on the mat, demonstrating a throw to newer recruits. Tara watched as the smaller trainee shifted her stance just right, not by overpowering, but by redirecting. The move was clean, balanced, elegant. Tara couldn't help but smile. The lesson had taken root. Later that evening, as the sun melted into the horizon, Tara walked the empty mat alone. The gym was silent again, save for the soft creak of the floor beneath her boots. She knelt, ran her hand over the rubber surface, the same ground where she'd been struck, and where she'd reclaimed her voice without ever raising it. She thought of the generations of instructors who'd shouted their authority into the air, mistaking fear for respect. She thought of Dolan, a man built by that system, not evil, just uncorrected. And she thought of Chun, the next generation, learning that control doesn't come from volume. Outside, the flag flapped against a cooling wind. Somewhere across the yard, a whistle blew, signaling end of day. Tara stood, straightened her jacket, and whispered to the empty room. "Discipline outlasts pain." The words weren't meant for anyone, but the walls seemed to hold them anyway. By the week's end, new recruits would quote her during drills. By month's end, her procedures would become part of standard instructor evaluation. And years from now, when someone asked about the day the old ways changed, someone would always say, "It started when a Navy SEAL didn't hit back."